students of St. Paul's High School, welcome to Hunter Stadium for tonight's Christian Brothers Jamboree varsity game. Between the Raiders of Archbishop Rummel and your St. Paul Wolves. Tonight's Jamboree is being sponsored by Schroeder Family Chiropractic, which is owned by St. Paul Dr. Scott Schroeder, class of 89, and Dr. Schroeder, class of 92. Is dedicated to providing the best chiropractic and rehabilitative services available. For the health of patients, reach out using natural drug-free treat cause problems rather than only treat their symptoms. So you live an active lifestyle and maintain a quality life. Utilize chiropractic care, rehabilitation, massage, therapy, and other therapeutic modalities to achieve functional correction. We also have wellness consulting available, providing weight management services, nutrition education, and exercise program. Let the doctor staff to achieve complete physical wellness. The practice is located at 1982 North Highway 190 of Covington. Also sponsoring tonight's game, Embroidery B. Embroidery is the largest service embroidery, garment printing, and promotional product company in the world. We are your one-stop shop, all your custom embroidery and promotional product needs. Everything you need to grow your business right here at Embroidery B. Sales, Squall, Archbishop Boulevard, and I-10. We offer a large variety of personalized items and gifts as well. Come see us. We want to help you get noticed. Thank you. Schroeder Family Chiropractic and Embroidery B for sponsoring tonight's Jamboree. As a reminder, our varsity game will consist of two 15-minute halves.
All right, couple of minutes. From Hunter Stadium in Covington, it's high school football as Crescent City Sports presents Jamboree action, the Christian Brothers Jamboree, as the St. Paul's Wolves entertain the Archbishop Rummel Raiders. Warm evening, but a very nice evening and a pleasant evening Ken Trahan, joined by Lenny Vangilder of CrescentCitySports.com for the annual Christian Brothers Jamboree. These two brother schools have been getting together for quite some time now, and they've always found it to be very positive work for both teams in preparing them for the regular season, and this evening should be no exception to that rule. St. Paul's coming off of scrimmaging John Curtis Christian. Doesn't get any tougher than that. Archbishop Rummel scrimmaging a very good Helen Cox Cougars team as well. So both come in very well prepared, and of course preparing for the start of the regular season next week. Lenny, obviously the first thing first, the ties that bind. Of course, these schools have had many people, in particular Christian brothers, who have worked at both schools, and that has remained the case to this day. It's ironic because this is the second trip for Archbishop Rummel's students and student athletes to St. Paul's today. They were here this morning for a Christian Brothers convocation, gathering Christian Brothers schools together. So they made the trip twice here to Covington today, and this time, of course, to play football.
I hope they have a lot of $5 bills to get back across the causeway when they're done with all of that. Anyhow, no, first of all, it's great to be back, bringing you high school sports on Crescent City Sports. As we've done now in some way, shape, or form with our group of people going back to 2012. And this is a great way to start it off with these two schools. You mentioned a lot of similarities here, most notably the fact that they're both under the umbrella of the Christian Brothers. And these are two very good football teams, two very good athletic programs. And again, a great way to get this thing started. And look, Jamboree, if you're not somebody who watches high school football all the time, this is like your third preseason game, if you will. It's not like what the Saints did last night where you're going to see no starters. This is your chance to, fine-tune everything before the season starts for real next week.
Start with injuries. St. Paul's will be without their outstanding senior defensive back, Wayne Galloway. The Richmond commit is out. He has a microfracture on a bone in his foot. Had a very fine season a year ago, and they hope to get him back. He's in a walking boot right now, having seen him on the sideline earlier. Rummel is down to its third left tackle. Their number one left tackle quit about a month ago. Then their second left tackle is nursing a shoulder injury right now and trying to recover from that, Brenton Bashman. So they'll be going with Christian Stamps, a sophomore at tackle, a young player with promise. Meanwhile, their outstanding junior running back, Logan Diggs, still bothered by a minor knee injury. Good news is I talked to Logan earlier, and he says he could be back as early as next week, but we will not see him tonight. Then there's the contrast in coaching. One of the veteran coaches in Louisiana versus a first-year head coach, Kenny Sears, in his 21st year as head coach of the Wolves, 29th as a coach overall, with 145 wins, 76 losses. Solid coach, solid man, Lenny.
Yeah, no doubt, and has produced a lot of great student athletes out of this program over the years. A lot of terrific young men, and they continue to do that. And somebody who's been here for a long time. Normally we're used to seeing two veteran coaches face off in this Jamboree, but that's not the case tonight.
Jay Roth, after 24 years, stepped away at the end of last season after a phenomenal career with 228 wins and only 62 losses, 34th all-time in Louisiana prep football history in wins. Nick Monica taking over. Nick's been at Rummel since 2006 as a football assistant. Of course, was a baseball assistant, then the baseball head coach from 2011 through 2019, and took his Raiders to 2 state championship appearances. He's a fine football coach. He's been the defensive coordinator for the last 4 years, basically. Nick's done an excellent job. He's ready for this challenge.
And the last time he was a head coach, who did he face but St. Paul's?
That's pretty funny. Nick Nunez, who happens to be an assistant on the St. Paul's football staff.
There you go.
So you can't escape it.
No, exactly. But look, Nick is obviously been groomed for this situation, obviously working at Jay Roth's wing for many, many years. Of course, his dad, Frank Monica, one of the great coaches in Louisiana high school football history as well. You put those two guys together, you've got pretty close to 500 wins, or about 80 short of what JT Curtis has, perhaps. But it's still, those are two of the elite coaches we have seen. And, Jay, it's going to be interesting to be around Jay at football games this year, just to see how he's going to handle being on the sidelines watching and not coaching for the first time, in a long time, and being an athletic director.
Very strange, to say the least. As far as this Jamboree is concerned, as mentioned, they've been getting together now for several years. Rummel's been somewhat in control in recent years. Last year, the Raiders won 7-3. They won 23-7 in 2017. The last St. Paul's win was in 2016 when they won 20-6 Rummel won in 2015, but it's always a good matchup. Ironically, these two schools have only met one time in regular season history, and that was in 1965. Rummel won that matchup 13-6. It's kind of unusual.
Yeah.
You got to figure that's going to change, unfortunately, unless things change in the LHSAA with the number of schools in Division I.
Well, what's interesting with that is we're now 7 years into the system, and they haven't met in the playoffs yet. That's probably, if you went back through the list of everyone that Rummel has faced, this is probably about the only school that they haven't faced. It's a very short list, I would imagine. But it's we could talk about that all day, of course. But again, what you're looking to accomplish tonight, and again, one thing we should mention, this is not a regulation game format. They're going to play two 15-minute halves this evening, or if you will, about 4 7.5-minute quarters, because they will take a hydration break halfway through each half. It's a shorter game format, and it's, like I said, your last tune-up before the regular season begins for each of these schools a week from tonight.
Standouts. Well, if you look at these two teams, certainly you have to look at defense. For St. Paul's, Michael Crockett, the senior defensive end, really good. 11 tackles for loss last year. He's a prospect on the college level. Andrew Incamina, Thomas Rushing, who's a big 305-pound sophomore tackle, is good. Jacob Froelich, a solid player back from a year ago in physical. And then at linebacker, Miles Biggs, the senior, a very good player. Brady Loiselle and Rhett Barker also good. Of course, for Rummel defensively, it's all about team speed. They just run extremely well. As I've said a few times, they may run as well as any defense in Louisiana. They've got several players, Lenny, that are recruits right now. Jordan Williams, a South Alabama commit. Quentin Cage has a Tulane offer as we speak. Donovan Kaufman's a Vanderbilt commit. Corey Smooth is a Nichols commit. That gives you an idea of what kind of defense they have.
No doubt, and we got a chance, and the video is up on CrescentCitySports.com to check out their scrimmage against Helen Cox, and that was one of the things that really jumped off the page, is their team speed and their closing speed on defense, and that's that will carry you. You know, defense is one of those things, to make a baseball analogy, sometimes the bats are going to go cold, but defensive pitching has a tendency to hold up or whatever, and I think that's the case at football. Sometimes you get a little bit out of sync on offense, but defense is, that can carry the day for you and keep you in a lot of football games.
The other story to watch is quarterback. Both schools employing new starters this year. Jack Mashburn gone from St. Paul's, having graduated. And, of course, Chandler Fields gone from Archbishop Rummel, having graduated at UL Lafayette now. St. Paul's goes with a talented sophomore, Grant Bilson, who's 6'1", 190. He gets the nod over Caleb Frost, who played some at quarterback last year. But Caleb's such a good athlete, he'll play wide receiver and start with Bilson at quarterback with good size and a good future. Same is true at Rummel with Kyle Wickersham, the junior transfer from Jesuit, the son of former LSU quarterback Jeff Wickersham, who's already got offers on the Division I level, 6'3", 227. So it's kind of one of those situations where both coaches are very eager to see just how these new starting quarterbacks perform.
You see that a lot, obviously, at the high school level. It's not like you often return a ton of starters out there, and Rummel's got a lot coming back this year, and that's that could be their advantage. Both of these teams, obviously, playing in tough leagues, Rummel year in, year out. The Catholic League, they like to call it the SEC West or whatever. St. Paul's facing all the schools here on the North Shore as they have for many years, and you've got to be, you got to get good quarterback play, and you've got to get good defensive play to handle the night in, night out grind of what you're going to face in district play, and we start to see what that's all going to be here this evening.
Taking a look at some of the history of these programs. First and foremost, let's talk about returning players. St. Paul's with 12 returning starters, 5 on offense and 7 on defense, and Rummel, a very experienced football team. They've got 22 players back who started games last year, including 10 on offense and 12 on defense. So there's high expectations for this Rummel football team. Rummel with state championships under Jay Roth, back-to-back in 2012 and 2013, and to the Dome on 2 other occasions as well. Semifinals for Rummel over the years 7 times, quarterfinals 5 times. St. Paul's, well, they've won 11 district championships, reached the quarterfinals in 2016 and 2015, and back in 2006, 2007, and 2010. Both teams have taken the field. Rummel wearing their white uniforms, their road uniforms, white jerseys, white pants, white helmets with the red R emblazoned on the helmet. St. Paul's in their familiar royal blue home jerseys with yellow gold numerals, and white pants, white headgear with the numbers, large numbers on their helmets. As an announcer, I don't mind that at all.
No, this is a great look, no doubt. These are two classic uniforms in terms of what you will see on the high school level.
For more than half a century, Crescent City Sports Prep Football brought to you by Gills Bar. Let's start there. Gills Bar bringing this to you. And for more than half a century, offering services, solutions, and support for businesses and associations looking for happier constituents and healthier bottom lines. And Gills Bar is headquartered on the North Shore. To learn more on how Gills Bar can help your business, visit gillsbar.com. Thanks to Gills Bar and Hank Miltenberger for their kind support to help make this possible as the sun begins to set around the beautiful campus of St. Paul's in Covington. Really good crowd on hand on both sides, but that's not unexpected between these two schools. Fans being asked to rise now, remove their caps, and of course, time to honor the United States of America with our national anthem following our prayer to get things started here this evening prior to the national anthem taking place. Let's listen in.
We begin tonight by recalling that we are in God's presence. And so, let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God. We pray tonight in honor and gratitude for the Christian brothers of the world, and especially the Christian brothers of both Rummel and St. Paul's community. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity for all of us to gather this evening as a LaSallian family. We pray tonight for the entire St. Paul's and Archbishop Rummel school communities. Bless and protect those involved in tonight's contest. And guide us as we continue to do all our actions for the love of you. St. John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever.
Please remain standing and direct your attention to the flag in the north end zone for the national anthem.
Sun setting, beautiful night, lights are on here at Hunter Stadium. Ken Trahan, Lenny Vangilder, Christian Brothers Jamboree, varsity level, getting set to get started here as the captains will convene at the center of the field for both teams. They'll play this like a game, as Lenny alluded to, two 15-minute halves. Of course, the regular season is a different animal, with the quarters being 12 minutes long of 4 quarters, so a little bit longer in terms of the duration of quarters, but these are considered halves and 30 minutes overall. And there will be hydration breaks, as you know, that take place at least until October on the high school scene as well. So again, you can watch this in game fashion here tonight, unlike scrimmages, which are done in a totally different format. As mentioned, a really good crowd here forming tonight. No surprise. We talked about the Rummel defense a year ago. They held 5 different opponents to 7 points or less, playing a very challenging schedule. To give you some perspective on who they are, and they have virtually everyone back from that defense, so that gives you some idea as to how effective and how good they can be. Coin toss taking place as we speak, and taking a little bit of time, and finally we'll sort this out. And it looks like Rummel has won the toss, and they will defer, which is no surprise. I just gave you a long analysis of how good their defense is, so put your best unit on the field, at least initially, right?
Exactly. Now, we didn't see kickoffs in the junior varsity scrimmage that preceded this. I'm assuming we'll see some of that here, but it's also possible that we choose not to go that route as well.
So St. Paul's will get the ball first, which means Rummel will kick off first, and we'll get a chance to see the Wolves offense on the field to get things started here this evening. Artificial turf surface here at Hunter Stadium, where the St. Paul's soccer program is the best in Louisiana and has been for several years now overall, with all due respect to Jesuit, who's right there in that category too, and certainly a couple of others who have been really good. Even Holy Cross locally has been outstanding, most recently on the boys' side. Ready to get things started, Patrick Vanderbrook, the senior, will kick it off. Vanderbrook handles all kicking duties for Rummel, and he had an outstanding year last year. Family tradition at Rummel. His dad, Will Vanderbrook, outstanding man in CPA, and his older brother, a tremendous swimmer at Indiana, and of course broke all kinds of records when he was at Archbishop Rummel as well. So Vanderbrook to kick it off. St. Paul's with twin receivers deep, just about ready to go. Dominic Maestri and Mitchell Smith are deep. Vanderbrook puts his foot into it and hits it pretty deep, in fact very deep into the end zone, and that's a touchback by Federation rules. So St. Paul's will start from its own 20-yard line to get things started here as we get things started in this game. And the St. Paul's Wolves will take to the field. First on the offensive side of the football. I'm laughing because the down markers were at the 25. This is high school. This isn't college or pro, and it's a little bit of a different deal here. They've been watching too much television.
There you go.
Ready to go, the St. Paul's offense on the field with Grant Bilson, Carter Ely, Mitchell Smith, the running backs, Danny Sears, the tight end. Receivers, Caleb Frost, Cole Piazza, Brody Reyna. Motion across the formation on first down, and the give is inside and nothing there. Slam down right away. Jordan Williams and Quentin Cage were there to put down the ball carrier, Carter Ely. It's going to be second down and 10 yards to go for the Wolves. So no gain for Ely, second and 10. Raiders subbing one with an extra DB on a second and 10 situation. They'll make a change to go to the extra defensive back. It happens on this level on a regular basis as well, and Rummel's pretty deep in the secondary. Now the 40-second clock is in effect this year in high school football. That's going to be a real adjustment. St. Paul's just broke the huddle with 6 seconds. They've got to hurry. Teams are going to have to adjust to this. 1 second, and they didn't get it off. Flag should come out, and it does. And again, Lenny, that's the first thing to look for. Rule change this year. 40-second clock between plays starts right away, which means you should get more snaps, but teams have to get things moving quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes one thing off the officials, if you will, starting that 25-second clock at some point after play is set. So, like you say, it rolls. Now, of course, coming off of that, they're at the line a little bit quicker. The clock down to 15 at this point, so plenty of time to get this play off.
On second and 15, quick snap. Wilson rolling left, stopping, decides he's going to run it. He's going to be smacked down hard. So just nowhere to go there. As he's driven to the turf by Jordan Williams again. Kabaz Craig, there is a flag down as well, right near the point of contact on the side of it, and we'll check that. Would be a loss of a couple of yards if it stands.
Looks like this may be against Rummel.
It is a personal foul, face mask. So a 15-yard penalty against Rummel.
But it's not enough for a first down. That's another thing in high school as opposed to other levels where a personal foul would be an automatic first down. It's not an automatic first down on the high school level. So instead of being second and 17, or third and 17 actually, now it's going to be second and 2.
At the 28-yard line, so a couple of plays that didn't go anywhere, but then a big penalty to put St. Paul's in a pretty good position to convert here on 2nd and 2. Ball spotted on the left hash mark, just underway here. First half, Christian Brothers Jamboree. Against a 7-man defensive front, counterplay right, a cutback, and a nice broken tackle for a first down. Escaping the initial tackle and able to get forward for the first down for St. Paul's was Mitchell Smith. So Smith gets the first down. Gain of 2, that's what he needed, that's what he got.
Exactly. The ball is touching the 30-yard line. That's one. Don't have to worry about measuring in those situations when the down and distance or the chains are set right at the 5-yard markers, coming off a touchback of sorts, and then no need to measure. The ball's touching the 30.
1st and 10 at the 30. Quick snap. Run the fullback and fighting forward for a couple of yards. Tough sledding inside, but Danny Sears, son of the head coach Kenny Sears, able to get forward for 2, maybe 3 yards on the play. Just bowled his way to get 3. It's going to be 2nd down and 7. Danny, of course, the son of Kenny Sears and the brother of Kenny Sears III, who graduated in 3 years from Northwestern State and is now coaching for the Wolves. An amazing accomplishment for a terrific young man. Remember, we interviewed him the day he signed here at St. Paul's. He's already back.
That's crazy. That seems like, wait, what happened? What did I miss? How did that happen so quickly?
2nd and 7 at the 33-yard line. Wanting to throw Bilson in the flat. Man there caught Sears. And he's knifed down at about the 35. A good open field tackle by Corey Smoot for Rummel at about the 35-yard line. Well, Smoot last year missed the first 4 games, but came back. He makes a difference. He's a really good athlete. So a gain of 2. It's going to be 3rd and 5. At the 35-yard line. First pass attempt by Bilson. Goes for 2 yards to Sears. Now another conversion down for the Wolves on 3rd and 5. Again, ball still on the left hash. That's where it's been throughout this possession pretty much. Receivers split to either side. A man in the slot as well. Wilson fakes, rolls, pressure from the backside. Got it off downfield, but hit as he threw it, and it goes incomplete. Very good pressure, and that Raider defense can really run. And he was pressured by Jordan Williams and also pressured there by Aaron Thomas. Aaron Thomas, another really good player, but there is a flag in the secondary, so hold everything. Typically against the defense when you see that. It'll be defensive holding on Rummel. That should give St. Paul's a first down, so Wolves are going to get a conversion on a defensive holding penalty. So 2 big penalties on Rummel in this first series.
So we've seen 25 yards in penalties thus far on Rummel, and the ball was moved 25 yards. So basically, St. Paul's has 2 first downs without gaining a yard at this point.
So 1st and 10, Wolves at the 45. 11:08 to play in the first half. First possession of the half. Still wide side, right side of the field. Straight I formation here. Cut back, and it's there. Running room to midfield. And down to about the Raider 47. It's Carter Ely with a nice cutback, and the backside was open there, and Ely is able to get forward for 8 yards.
Yeah, really nice looking run there. I think you need to do some things when you've got a defense that runs as well as Rummel's does. You need to do some things with a counter look there with a little bit of misdirection, just the plant and then cut back the other way. Those are the kind of things that will be effective at times against the defense that runs well.
Gain of 8, 2nd and 2 at the Raider 47-yard line. Twins to the left, a single receiver to the right. Straight run and a first down. Dragging tackler forward for about 4 yards is Carter Ely, and a first down St. Paul's to the Rummel 43. Gain of 4. So first down, St. Paul's their 3rd of this possession. As they start to establish the run a little bit now after struggling a bit initially in that capacity. First down, Wolves. Center of the field now at the Rummel 43-yard line. Over 5 minutes into the half, St. Paul's has kept the ball throughout to this point. Play fake, Wilson. Throwing in the flat, and it's incomplete, dangerous throw. Well, a nice break on the ball there by Donovan Kaufman, who was superb a year ago. The Vanderbilt commitment got there pretty quick. He read it well. Pass falls incomplete, intended for Brody Reyna and it will be 2nd and 10.
One thing about Kaufman is, for a defensive guy, he's got tremendous ball skills. There's a reason that he is Rummel's top return guy, and a number of touchdowns a year ago.
Yeah, returned 2 interceptions for scores last year. I did both of them, in fact.
And kickoff returns as well.
Yep.
Right?
2nd and 10 of the Rummel 43. Bilson, counter play right. Cut back and a nice run to get 3. Shook the initial tackle, and getting 3 on the play is Mitchell Smith before he's brought down on the play. Leading the charge was Evance Brown, the senior. It's going to be 3rd and 7. From the 40-yard line as Mitchell Smith has his 2nd carry of the game for 5 yards. So 3rd and 7 at the Raider 40. Rummel comes in with an extra defensive back. This time the ball on the right hash, and so they'll split 2 to the wide side and a single to the short side. Smith in the backfield. Bilson dropped the ball, picks it up, has time, throws it out, it's caught to the 40, cut back, but spilled short of the first down. Good open field tackle by Colby Fields on Mitchell Smith at the 36, so a gain of 4. Fields a 2-sport star, a good baseball player for Rummel. And it's going to be 4th down. Let's see if they decide to go for it. I would think they would, Lenny, at this part of the field.
You're in no man's land right here. 4th and 3. It's too far for a field goal. It's probably a little too close for a punt. And look, it is a jamboree. It's a good time to see what you can do out there in these situations. St. Paul's has taken 6.5 minutes off the clock here in this first half.
Good way to shorten the game. 4th down and 3 yards to go at the Rummel 36. Again, twins left, a single receiver right. Rummel rushes 4. Good protection. Now it breaks down and a sack. Back at the 46-yard line, the sack for the Raiders by number 53, Marlon Baker. So Baker gets the sack and Rummel gets the stop.
Big time play right there. That's a credit as well to the back 7 of Rummel's defense, that no one was open right away, and he had time to get home and finish things off, and now Rummel will take over offensively at the 45-yard line.
A very good field position as the Raider offense, led by Kyle Wickersham, takes to the field for the first time at their 45-yard line with 8:13 to play in the first half, and no score here. Wickersham, the junior. He'll have Jalen Sturgis in the backfield. Again, Logan Diggs out tonight. Twin receivers left, a single to the right. To the right, that's Coy Moore, and that's the man. Draws double coverage most of the time during the regular season. Snap it to Wickersham, fake it to Sturgis. Wickersham will be sacked. Wickersham's sacked back at about the 35-yard line. And getting there for St. Paul's was 94. Michael Crockett, their standout defensive end that we talked about in the pregame.
Yeah, and that was one of those plays he was looking to get Moore streaking down the far sideline, and it just didn't have a chance to develop, and Crockett got home, and now it's going to be 2nd and 18.
Wickersham will throw a quick bubble screen, and that was low and short and incomplete as he tried to get it out to the side there to number 88, Keith Robertson. Falls incomplete. It's 3rd down and 18.
Yeah, that's one of those passes that you throw. If you watch John Gruden's QB camp when he was still doing TV and not being a coach of the Raiders, although he's back doing TV there with Hard Knocks, I guess, but he would always talk about that drill when you're making that quick pass. As soon as you catch it, you don't even try to get the seams right there. You throw it. That looked like a pass where he never had the seams.
Official timeout for the hydration break here with 7:36 to play in the first half. This is just the 2nd possession of this jamboree. St. Paul's had it for about 7 minutes, so no score here from Hunter Stadium here at CrescentCitySports.com. Crescent City Sports Prep Football is brought to you by Lamarck Ford. Huge things are happening at the big store in Kenner, including a huge selection of pre-owned inventory in the brand new indoor showroom featuring all makes and models. Come see our remarkable deals and service. Stop by, go to Lamarck.com. Wickersham will run. He's not going anywhere. Blue shirts engulf him at the line of scrimmage. No gain, and Rummel's going to have to punt. A 3-and-out and a very impressive defensive series for St. Paul's. So the Raider punting unit is on the field. Again, the St. Paul's front seven defensively very good, and we saw evidence of it on that series. Well, Vanderbrook to punt it away. Patrick Vanderbrook, 27 punts last year. Average right near 29 points per punt. Single receiver is deep for St. Paul's. Brody Reyna. Reyna stands at about his 33. St. Paul's in a return mode here. Good pass from center with lots of time, and Vanderbrook hits a wobbly line drive right to Reyna. Reyna steps up, but he's knocked down right away. So good coverage by Rummel. Reyna tackled at the 32. That's where St. Paul's will start its second possession with 6:34 to play in the first half, and no score. Ken Trahan, Lenny Vangilder with you from Hunter Stadium in Covington. And the Wolves go on offense once again. Again, they had the ball the first possession for quite some time. They had 11 snaps plus a couple of penalties against Rummel.
Yeah, those
that first possession.
Those penalties really extend. I mean, the defenses have done a decent job thus far on both ends. You wouldn't know it on the Rummel side because of those two penalties for 25 yards that helped extend that opening drive.
Mitchell Smith, the running back. Right side, the wide side. They go short side here, but play was blown dead. This is going to be a neutral zone infraction, I think, against Rummel. Should be their third defensive penalty already in this game. So that'll be 5 yards against the Raiders. Nick Monaco, of course, a defensive coach, position coach, then a defensive coordinator. So you know this is a revolting development for him.
Sure, and that's... Now you got to worry about both sides of the ball. You got to be the CEO, if you will, and but still, we know coaches will skew one way or the other, and he's a defensive guy.
Here we go, a power I formation now for St. Paul's, and they're going to run behind that power I left. It's got room to the outside, but a good tackle, just firing up from his cornerback position for the Raiders and making a good play with Sean Grimes, the junior. That play looked like it had something, but Grimes came firing up.
A good job there by Grimes, and you coming from into the secondary and closing quickly, and that turned into just a gain of 2 on the play.
2nd and 3, still a good down and distance for St. Paul's after the penalty.
Yeah, that's normally not. You see cornerbacks making tackles on running plays. They're normally not for gains of 2. It's normally for gains of 12, maybe.
Receiver to either side of the field on 2nd and 3. Straight I formation here. Tight end tucked in right side, and they run it up the middle, and a hard run to the 40, maybe the 41. Going to be a yard short. That's Ely, who was the ball carrier, and Aaron Thomas was there to stop him. It's going to be 3rd and 1. Another gain of 2 yards, so 3rd and 1 for St. Paul's. 3rd down and a yard to go. Aaron Thomas, very good a year ago at 52 tackles. The senior at 5'11", 227. 3rd down and a yard for St. Paul's. Split backs. Interestingly, just a 3-man front for Rummel, but the linebackers fire. But there's running room, and nice open field tackle by Thomas. A flag down, but a great tackle by Thomas as he drilled Eli. Rummel comes up with the ball. They say they have the ball, but there is a flag, and we'll check that. So we'll check this.
Big moment here early on.
It really is. Holding St. Paul's declined, and it is a fumble, and the Raiders have recovered.
And a big swing right there. And we talked about these defenses, and We've seen some big plays here early on, but that is the first really big play. Now can Rummel's offense, which struggled that first series, can they get something going here and capitalize? Points off the turnovers is what you want to be able to get.
Raiders start from the St. Paul's 41 with 5:05 to play in the first half. Sturgis going right, has some room. He gets it north and south. He's tough, and he has a first down across the 30 and down about the 29 is big Jalen Sturgis. And when I say big, he's big, 231 pounds of Jalen, and he can go. When he gets it going with his pads behind him north and south, he is an absolute load.
Not a lot of people are going to bring him down in that situation. We had Rummel last year against Turlings in non-district, and he had a big night in that game.
First down, Sturgis gets the call. This time he's in and dropped. No gain, outstanding penetration. That's what you need to get against Sturgis. St. Paul's got it, and they got him bottled up for nothing.
Didn't give him a chance to square up those shoulders. He was still moving east and west and got tripped up, got back to the line of scrimmage. And the one thing Sturgis is always going to do, even in that situation, he fell forward. A lot of guys that might have been a loss of a yard, but he's going to let that momentum carry forward and get that extra couple of feet.
2nd and 10, Wickersham deep down the middle, man wide open, and it is caught, and that is a touchdown. Wide open down the seam for Archbishop Rummel was number 11, Ivory Wright, the 4th, and the senior caught it. Wickersham spotted him. Touchdown Raiders. 29 yards. And Lenny, he was wide open.
Yeah, he just went right down the seam and didn't have anybody within about 2 or 3 steps of him right there.
So Wickersham's first completion goes for a touchdown. Ivory Wright, Vanderbrook in to try the extra point, 32 of 37 a year ago. And Vanderbrook has knocked it high and knocked it through. So with 4:14 to play in the first half, it's Rummel 7 and St. Paul's nothing, and the Raiders took total advantage of the turnover.
That's what you want to do, and it only took 3 plays to get it done. The Sturgis run, and then on the 2nd and 10, you pop the play right down the seam, and a big-time play on both ends by both the quarterback delivering that and laying it out there, and the receiver. And one time, when you've got a guy open, a quarterback will tell you that could be the hardest throw sometimes. When you see a guy wide open, you maybe put a little bit too much air on it, or sometimes you underthrow it or whatever. You just want to hit that in stride.
What's going to happen with Rummel is so many people are going to roll a safety to Coy Moore that it's going to give their other wide receivers opportunities, and I think we may have seen that just there.
No question about it.
Vanderbrook to kick it off. Maestri and Smith deep for St. Paul's. Again, he bangs this one high and deep. What a weapon Vanderbrook is. You have a senior kicker that can do it all. It's going to really give Rummel a big advantage over many teams in that particular aspect of the game.
Well, and you talk about the defense. If you can do that, and obviously conditions are going to dictate things. Sometimes you're going to be playing on grass as opposed to turf. Wind can be a factor, whatever the case may be. But if you can do that, now all of a sudden you're making the offense, the other team's offense, against your very good defense, have to go 80 yards.
Third possession for St. Paul's. We'll start at its 20-yard line. With 4:14 to play in the first half. Bilson, cross-buck play and tackle for a short gain. Kibaz Craig is there to put down Sears after a gain of 1, 2nd and 9. Well, Craig plays with his pants on fire, and I mean that. He plays all out on every play. He's not big, Lenny. He's just really good. Just watching him play the last 2 years, very good football player.
Look, in the Catholic League, you don't see a lot of guys getting a chance to play significant time as a freshman, and he's been playing since he was a freshman. He's just a junior. They've got 2 more years of him.
Snap it, fake it, rolling left. Pressure, and he got away from one, but not the second wave. White shirts everywhere as Rummel blitzed And they got home. And Evans Brown was there for the Raiders, and so was Craig. The initial pressure from Quentin Cage on a corner blitz. Second sack for Rummel. So that loss goes back to the 14-yard line, it looks like, the 14. So a loss of 7.
Yeah.
So at the 14, it's third down and about 16 yards to go. Bilson, shotgun, looking, throws it underneath and incomplete. Boy, a lot of traffic there. And a good thing it hit the ground because the white shirts were around it. Again, this Rummel defense can fly to the ball anywhere. You got two ways to go against a defense like this, Lenny. Go right at them because they're not huge, but they're good. Or to try to use misdirection, as you alluded to earlier.
Yep.
Punting situation here for the Wolves. Raiders will have a
Coy Moore is deep.
Single safety deep. That's Coy Moore, who will do that quite a bit.
And again, Rummel's poised to get very good field position right here.
Justin Bayham, the punted away, and he's standing right at the goal line. Moore standing in St. Paul's territory. Rummel's got 10 men up front. High snap. Ooh, and Cage nearly got there. Moore at the 48, hit right away. Good coverage. He fumbled the ball, but he got it back, it appears. I think he did. St. Paul's saying they've got it. I think Moore did come up with it, but Rummel will keep it at the St. Paul's 48. Nick Monica's going to look for every way imaginable to get number 2's hands on the ball. Remember, in the semifinal game against Catholic last year, he caught 13 passes. Doing everything they could to get him the ball because teams are going to do everything they can to take him away.
Sure. And look, if you haven't seen the film, you know the fact that he's headed to Baton Rouge next year with a couple of his former teammates already there. And that's, that's an eye-opener right there for you.
Twin receivers right. They're going to run it behind a fullback, and that big hit and a flag. No gain. Question is, was it a face mask or was it holding? It is holding on Rummel. So that'll negate the play. Rummel has its 4th penalty of the game. And this will take them out of St. Paul's territory. And, of course, in high school football, it's a spot foul. So it's going to be, in essence, a 12-yard penalty to the Rummel 40.
And I know you do things in federation rules to make the enforcement easier. Conversation you and I had many a time with our late great friend Rick Galey about how the officiating works on the high school level, but that doesn't seem like one that should be easier to manage.
This is going to be another penalty here as you had movement. St. Paul's movement did Rummel draw them. They're pointing at each other as Moore went in motion. I'm betting he would have gotten the ball on a handoff there based on the looks of that.
We talk about that Turlings game a year ago. That was a play. And
it is procedure against Rummel, so that's 5 penalties against Rummel for 47 yards already.
In not even 13 minutes of football here. Key situation late in that game to answer. They ran the jet sweep with Moore, and he went 80 yards for a touchdown.
Well, now Rummel is scrimmaging from its own 35-yard line. First and 27 yards to go. Not an enviable down. Right in motion. Wickersham wants to throw. Throws outside, caught. Nice cut inside. 45, another nice cut, another nice move. Look at this run. Stutter step, 45-40. You think he can go? He's pretty good, folks. That's Coy Moore. And so much for 1st and 27. Rummel has a first down at the St. Paul's 33. There's a good look at just why Coy Moore was so highly recruited.
That was a 5-yard pass that turned into a 33 or a 32-yard gain. And that was pretty much all Coy Moore right there running across and through the St. Paul's defense.
As I said earlier, just get him the ball, right? That's what Rummel wants to do, and you can see why on that play. 1st and 10 at the St. Paul's 33, and whistles sound again. And another false start on Rummel. So Raiders are their own worst enemy. They can't get out of their own way with regard to penalties early in this game. That's 6 now for 52 yards. Outside of the penalties, they've had big plays in the passing game and what we expected, a terrific defense, but penalties are certainly a significant issue that has to be cleaned up. It's hard to play behind the chains frequently against a good defense, which St. Paul's has. So down to 1:43 to play in the half, and now the officials are discussing things. I sure do like the lighted down marker that they have now. The sight for these sore eyes.
They're getting more sophisticated, although we're in 2019. Do we still need chains out there? Can we not figure out a way to measure 10 yards with some kind of...
Okay, so now they've negated the penalty, apparently. They put the ball back at the 33, so I guess no penalty.
I think there may have been a timeout
prior to the
penalty.
That had to be what happened, because that's the only reason that the penalty would have been negated with the movement that took place. So the timeout was granted, therefore no penalty. And Rummel will play first and 10 at the 33, and they do use a timeout with 1:43 to play in the half. Well, Wickersham has completed 2 or 3 passes, but for 61 yards and a touchdown, 2 big pass plays, and that's been the offense, aside from the 12-yard run by Jalen Sturgis. Of course, on the other side, St. Paul's offense has really been about penalties, getting them yardage to this point in time. But again, we expected both defenses to be very good, and both offenses, well, let's see where they're at. That's kind of what we've seen to this point.
And look, you got
at the half in Jamboree play, Live Oak 21, West Jefferson 7.
Of course, by the way, we should mention, come next Friday night, once we're into week 1 of the regular season, you come to CrescentCitySports.com and you can get all the scores up to the minute on our scoreboard presented by the All-State Sugar Bowl.
Fake by Wickersham. His throw is incomplete. Looking for Ivory Wright. Wickersham had pressure and got dumped on the play. That's going to be the thing to watch for Rummel this year is whether Wickersham has time to throw the football. And it looks like we got an injured Raider. And we'll check and see who that is.
Looks like Amor Rashal who's down in the middle of that. I think that's 17. Yes, it is.
And he's a key receiver for Rummel, a starter a year ago and a big target. Not sure what the affliction is, but he's being tended to as we speak. So Rashal obviously in discomfort as we speak. Next Thursday night, it's the premiere of Crescent City Sports prep football schedule on CST as the Warren Easton Eagles meet the De La Salle Cavaliers. Catch the game on CST on CrescentCitySports.com or through the LHSAA app. That's next Thursday night. We're excited about that, and we're looking forward to it. Lenny was talking about our scoreboard, which is unabashedly the best in Louisiana, and it's tied into our radio show, of course, as well. 25th year of the original, which has a new home this year as well on 106.1 FM Nash Icon, part of the Cumulus New Orleans group and great affiliation. And that will start next Friday night on 106.1 FM. Tell your friends. Coverage from 6 p.m. to midnight every Friday night with the best scoreboard in the state from CrescentCitySports.com, which Jude Young and Emmanuel Pepis will handle each and every week. Rashal's helped up, but he's unable to put any weight. Amor Rashal unable to put any weight on his right leg, and that's really a shame. He's a key player for Rummel. He's their second best receiver, and that would be a huge loss for Nick Monica. Well, you hate to see that before the season gets started.
No
he had
doubt.
5 touchdown catches a year ago. Amor's a good player. I remember his kin, Carlos Rashal, at Archbishop Shaw, who was awfully good. 33-yard line, 1:38 to play in the half, and Rummel's down a key receiver now on Amor Rashal, who it certainly would appear is not going to return tonight.
That's one of the goals for every team playing Jamborees this week is you want to get out injury free. So you hope for the best there.
From the 33, the fake. Wickersham, heavy pressure, gets it off deep, and because of that, it's intercepted. And that's all about the pressure. The receiver was wide open. Back to the 15, to the 20, 25-30. Look at this. He has gone down the sideline. 45-40. What a great return off the interception. all the way down to the Rummel 30-yard line with the interception is Micah Crockett, twin brother of Michael. Well, the Crockett's are coming up big, and that was all about pressure.
Yeah.
Wickersham's receiver was wide open, but he had a man in his face drilling him as he threw the ball.
Yeah, the throw went towards the corner, then down down towards the post. Coy Moore was open, but it was behind him, and then it was intercepted. And look, Crockett quickly turns defense into offense and does a great job on the return and goes 70 yards, or check that, 68 yards with that one out of the end zone back, and puts St. Paul's in a position to maybe get on the board here with 1:21 left before halftime.
Turnover set up the Rummel score. Turnover might set up the equalizer here. St. Paul's at the Rummel 32. Bilson in shotgun, wants to throw it. Heavy pressure, he's hit. He somehow managed to get it off. Incomplete. Great job by Bilson. Again, these defenses are really good up front. I mean, the pressure on these quarterbacks is enormous on both sides.
Yeah, it's clearly going to be a point of emphasis come this week for both Kenny Sears and Nick Monica is protection, and there's a lot of ways to do that. You get things out quicker. Maybe you keep somebody in, or let a tight end or a back have to chip if you need to. There's ways to deal with that, but those are the types of adjustments. Look, this is like week one for these teams to a certain degree, and you hear the analogy about week 1 to week 2 is your biggest improvement of the year.
2nd and 10, Smith runs left. Smith's hit and dropped for a loss. Flying to the ball, Aaron Thomas. He's been all over the field here in this first half.
No doubt, he's been outstanding, and look, this is obviously a Rummel defense with a lot of returning starters from a year ago, and they are going to lead the way. To a certain degree. You've got obviously some talented players on the offensive side of the ball, but the defense is going to be the reason that Rummel is in contention to perhaps play for a Division I title come December.
3rd and 12, clock running, under 40 seconds in the half, rolling right. Bilson under pressure. Bilson is going to be buried. Bilson is sacked, and again, the pressure was just enormous. And again, Aaron Thomas is all over the field. He was there along with Kibos Craig, and I mean, Thomas is having himself a big game.
It looks like they may just let the clock run out here in the first half. As you see, the clock ticking down towards 10 seconds. St. Paul's not in a hurry, and they will apparently let time expire.
So Bilson sacked. That's the 3rd sack for Rummel. And the half will expire with Rummel on top 7-0 over St. Paul's. And what was a little bit what we expected, a very good defensive first half by both teams. Both teams just having issues being able to block the opponent thus far, Lenny. That's pretty much the summation of it. The defense is dominant, and the offense is having some issues in blocking the opponents.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look, you look at that one, the key play was that turnover that Rummel capitalized on the plus side of the 50 and turned it into points. St. Paul's had that chance, but give the Rummel defense credit for stepping up, and on that sudden change you'll hear coaches talk about. It's they managed to not allow St. Paul's to get on the board perhaps with the equalizer before halftime.
So at halftime, 7-0, Archbishop Rummel with the lead over St. Paul's. Ken Trahan, Lenny Vangilder with you from Hunter Stadium in Covington. Both of these teams have tough schedules. St. Paul's opens with McMain next week here at Hunter Stadium. Then they've got Jesuit coming here. And of course, Jesuit last year knocked them out in the playoffs. Then they'd make a very tough road trip to Trahan to play a quality opponent before opening District 6-5A play at Hammond, a much improved team. Home against Covington, on the road at North Shore, home against Mandeville, at Ponchatoula, home against Fontainebleau. Interesting that they have no back-to-back home games or road games in district play. It's home, away, home, away, home, away. And I think that's a pretty nice schedule to look at. Rummel has a beast of a schedule. Early on next week, they go to nationally ranked Charlotte Catholic, who's big, physical, and they've won 2 state championships in the last 3 years. And again, people say, well, why are you going there? The answer is it's hard to get games when you're good, and people, it's just hard to schedule. And the people that do want to play you are going to be teams like this. Central Catholic is scheduled to return that game to Rummel next year. But Rummel's going to Charlotte, North Carolina to play Charlotte Catholic next week to open the season. Then Rummel goes to Slidell, and Slidell, an outstanding football team a year ago, and they've got a lot of key players back. Then Rummel goes to another powerhouse program in Mississippi. They make the trip to Oak Grove, Mississippi in week 3, and then they play an outstanding Louisiana team in Ruston at Joe Yenny Stadium in week 4 before they get to district play. That is a brutal non-district schedule. You could easily look at that and say, hey, 2-2 is pretty good work.
Sure. You might be content with that, and it's probably going to accumulate a lot of power points as well with the strength of the teams that you're playing there. Even those, in football, even those out-of-state games do count towards power points, unlike some of the other sports where they haven't in the past. So you've got a chance to accumulate some significant points there, and like you say, it can be hard for good programs to schedule. You know, Rummel deals with it, John Curtis deals with it, Carr deals with it, so many others. So it's when you're not only the whole select non-select dynamic, but just do you want to face some of the best teams in the state? And a lot of times the best of the best get together. Look what's happening next week, week 1. You got Curtis and Carr facing off at Berman Stadium. That should be a whale of a football game. You've got De La Salle and Warren Easton facing off. Should be a whale of a football game. You've got University High and John Ehret facing off. Should be a whale of a football game. So that's I guess is the good news is this: from a fan's perspective, you get to see some really entertaining football. But it's just hard for these teams to be able to put that together.
Well, it is. And if you want to have an idea about the defense in the first half, total yards, Rummel has 65, St. Paul's 0. And that 0 a result, of course, of sacks. Rummel with 3 sacks for 29 yards in the first half. And St. Paul's yardage really accumulated via penalties in the first half. And that was the one thing that Rummel must work on. They had 5 for 47 yards in the first half of play here tonight. And, Nick Monica will be talking about that. Each team with a key turnover. The difference is Rummel took advantage of theirs, and St. Paul's did not take advantage of the one they were able to create with Crockett's interception. So the Raiders with a 7-0 lead at the half. We've talked about the schedules for these teams coming up, and of course, Slidell is a very good team in District 6-5A. They could be the favorite, although that figures to be a very close league this year. Fontainebleau's improved, Hammond's improved, Mandeville's better this year under Hutch Gonzalez. St. Paul's is still St. Paul's. It's going to be a very competitive league.
And look, I mean, Ponchatoula was at the bottom last year. We saw Ponchatoula against East Jefferson, and Ponchatoula's struggles last year were on the defensive side of the ball. That was a much improved defense that we saw in that scrimmage against East Jefferson. You can go back and watch it, of course, at CrescentCitySports.com.
Yeah, much better team this year, certainly, is Ponchatoula. Then, of course, with regard to the District 9-5A, John Curtis unquestionably is the favorite. They have no perceivable weakness, and they return, 15, 16 starters from a year ago, and just look outstanding. That second spot, most people have Rummel in that spot, given their experience. Brother Martin is a good football team, well coached with a talented young quarterback in Mamahat. And then, of course, Holy Cross is an improved, good football team. John Dade Wooten, a good quarterback for them. Good offensive line as well. Jesuit, impressive in its Jamboree win over Bonneville. Blue Jays are always good up front. St. Augustine, always dangerous. Nate Jones does a fine job. They've got 3 Division I players on that team. Archbishop Shaw, Tommy Connors is a very good young coach, but got a ways to go to get that program to where he wants to get it. It's going to take time and a few more players, but you know that Tommy will do a good job in improving that program as well. So these 2 teams representing very good leagues, and goes without saying that this is a good matchup to have in a Jamboree. And as I said before, this is no surprise what we've seen thus far. This is kind of what we laid out for you in the pregame. 2 defenses that are very good, especially up front, and 2 offenses that have new quarterbacks and have to kind of find their way. And in defensive, both Wickersham and Bilson, they just haven't had time to make plays when they have tried to throw the ball. Both have been under enormous pressure. 3 sacks for Rummel, 1 for St. Paul's, but Wickersham's been under duress the whole time. The interception, if he has time, that's a touchdown because Moore's got about a 4-yard cushion. He's got his man beat in that situation, but the throw goes way outside behind him because he's hit when he's thrown.
Right. On the Rummel defensive side, a lot of credit as well to the back end. That is something that's huge in terms of helping those front four or anybody that's blitzing get there to be able to sack Bilson, because they are defending very well in the back end and not allowing anyone to get open.
So that's the scenario as it's unfolded to this point in time. As mentioned, these two schools got together earlier in the day for their Christian Brothers Convocation. They do that on an annual basis. Of course, in the New Orleans area, you've got Christian Brothers School, you've got De La Salle, Archbishop Rummel, and St. Paul's, all are Christian Brothers affiliated schools, and there's always been an effort on the part of the Christian Brothers to get these schools together for different events. In recent years, my dear friend, Brother Gail Condit, who's worked at all three schools, has made a concerted effort to do that. He's now at Christian Brothers School, so make it all four, basically, and I think that's a very, not only novel idea, but a very good idea to get young people together from different schools and backgrounds to teach them the tenets of what their schools are all about, the foundation, why they exist, where they come from, and what they're supposed to be in the Lasallian tradition of each of these schools. Very impressive to watch the way they handle themselves on and off the field, and again, very impressed with these two schools. You mentioned Jay Roth earlier, and it's pretty interesting. Both schools have iconic longtime coaches who recently stepped away to become full-time athletic directors. Jay Roth at Archbishop Rummel and Craig Kettleson at St. Paul's. And I was talking to Coach Kettleson earlier. He's always going to be coach to me and my friend. But he was saying, man, I'm watching wrestling practice the other day, and Matt Pinero does a great job having taken over the St. Paul's wrestling program. Really good coach, great guy. And by the way, a Rummel grad who wrestled at Rummel. He said, man, I'm watching practice, and they're doing everything differently. I'm like, what is this? What is this? And I realized, hey, I'm not coaching anymore. So you watch change, and you watch the way people implement their programs, and you appreciate just what you have and also appreciate what you've done. Same thing with Jay Roth. It's very strange to see him not coaching this football team after 24 years. And keep in mind, Jay Roth was an outstanding player at Rummel as well, so his ties to that school go back to his infancy and childhood, because his father, Easton, was at Rummel starting in 1970 as an assistant and then became head coach in 1978. So their ties are very, very deep. And so I've been keeping an eye on Jay. He's been standing off to the side on the sideline, and that's got to be tough for him just standing there watching. It's going to be an adjustment, just like it has been for Coach Kettleson, as I talked about when he watched practice and said, man, why are they doing that? It's a similar dynamic.
You think about it. You had a Roth on the sidelines at Rummel for 37 out of 57 years of the school's history. They didn't play football the first couple of years, I guess, at least varsity football. It's really about 55. That's about two-thirds of your football teams in your history. There's been a Roth on the sidelines, either a head coach or an assistant coach. And now, for the first time in a quarter century, there's not. And look, Nick Monica, obviously, we talked about it earlier. You talk about the whole father-son type of thing. He understands that, and he grew up in a family where coaching was a big part of it, so he understands this situation, and there may not be anyone better suited to be able to step in to this situation. You often hear people talk about, you don't want to be the guy that follows the guy, right? You want to be the next guy. Well, I think if anyone can be the guy that follows the guy who is very successful or every bit as successful, it could be Nick.
Yeah, I think he's very equipped to do it for several reasons. One, his father. Two, the fact that he was handpicked by Jay Roth, who thinks the world of him, and stepped away and left him with a good football team this year. Three, because he's been at the school since 2006. He understands the school as well as anyone. So I think those elements have prepared him extremely well for this challenge. And it is a challenge. I don't care who it is. When you step in and follow someone like that, it's going to be a challenge. But you have to find the right personality and the right coach. And Rummel believes it has that in Nick Monica, and understandably so. And, of course, at St. Paul's, Kenny Sears just continuing to do it and do it well in his 21st year of coaching. And he enjoys coaching his sons. He enjoyed coaching Kenny, and now he enjoys coaching Danny as well, and continues to serve in his other capacities working at the school and discipline and a number of other capacities. Crescent City Sports Prep Football is brought to you by Gibbs Construction, a leader in the construction industry in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast for more than 35 years, transforming dreams, visions, and plans into reality. Gibbs Construction. Thanks to Larry Gibbs Construction for their continuous support of what we do at CrescentCitySports.com. We appreciate them. They appreciate us. It's a mutual admiration society.
And a tip of the hat as well to Larry Gibbs, because he bought into the vision early on of what the story that everyone has talked about in these parts for the last week, and that's the East Bank Little League winning a world championship. He's been the president of that group since its formation, and like you say, bought into the concept, supported it, and lo and behold, 6 years after they took the field for the first time, they are Little League world champions. Congratulations to Scott Frazier and everyone involved with that program.
No doubt. Also want to get a plug in for the Greater New Orleans Quarterback Club, which started its 81st year last Tuesday with a stellar panel of Gail Benson and Scott Woodward and Willie Fritz and Scott Frazier, along with Doug Thornton and Nick Monica. And this week, a stellar panel as well. Kai Harley, who does a tremendous job for the Saints, one of their MVPs. If you ask anybody in that organization, will be speaking on football for the Saints. Verge Osbury, the Deputy Athletic Director at LSU, who always has a good word and does an outstanding job. Troy Dannon, the Athletic Director at Tulane University, will share the CEO of the All-State Sugar Bowl, one of our great supporters here at CrescentCitySports.com. Jeff Hundley will be sharing. And then Joe Chango, the head football coach at Country Day, who does such an outstanding job also, will speak. That's next Tuesday, September 3rd at noon at Rockin' Bowl at 3016 South Carrollton Avenue. And it's open to everyone. It's $30 for non-members, $20 for members. Membership is $50 annually. And you get a really good lunch. The food's outstanding from John Blanchard and his crew at Rockin' Bowl and Yale College Inn, who are also great supporters of our efforts here at CrescentCitySports.com. So again, the Greater New Orleans Quarterback Club, Year 81, Week 2, coming up Tuesday at noon at Rockin' Bowl. We hope you're there. Let's take a look at first half stats from this Jamboree, and it's all defense. Total yards, as mentioned, Rummel 65, St. Paul's 0. Penalties, Rummel 5 for 47 yards, St. Paul's 1 for 5 yards. Each team with a turnover, Rummel with 3 sacks, St. Paul's with 1. Rushing, Jalen Sturgis, 2 carries for 12 yards. Kyle Wickersham, 2 for -8. Passing, Wickersham is 2 of 5, 61 yards with a touchdown and an interception. Receiving for Rummel, Coy Moore, 1 catch for 32 yards. Ivory Wright, the 4th, 1 catch for 29 yards and a touchdown. For St. Paul's, Grant Bilson, 4 rushes for -29 yards. Danny Sears, 2 rushes for 4 yards. Carter Ely, 5 carries, 14 yards. And Mitchell Smith, 4 carries for 5 yards. Grant Bilson is 2 of 5 for 6 yards. Danny Sears, 1 catch for 2 yards. And Mitchell Smith, 1 catch for 4 yards. That's your summation of the numbers in the first half here this evening from Hunter Stadium. And, of course, you can read Lenny's game story later with the video that you can watch from this scrimmage. And we encourage everybody to watch it after the fact, if they're not watching it right now, at CrescentCitySports.com. They live forever, basically, so go back and watch and enjoy. And, of course, we sure do look forward to getting things rolling with all of our football streams beginning next week. Pretty much every week, a couple of games, Lenny.
Yeah, I think so, pretty much. You'll see, in fact, Thursday, Friday, and a lot of Saturdays, you'll see high school football right here from Crescent City Sports. No better place to get it. We've been at this, like we said, since in some way, shape, or form since 2012, bringing you video. I think we counted up. We've done over 300 live web streams going back to 2012. We'll continue to do that again this year. Some games on TV in our partnership with CST. So stay with us. We have the rundown for you week to week of exactly where we will be, and we will bring you the best of the best as we go along.
Timing off a little bit, I think, for these two teams. Rummel's already finished its warm-ups, and St. Paul's is just coming out.
And they've added 3 minutes to the clock. I talked that is my biggest pet peeve in high school sports.
I couldn't agree more.
Why do we need a 3-minute warm-up period? Build that into your halftime.
Thank you. Let the bands perform and the dance teams dance because that's fantastic.
And by the way, no one was on the field.
But that didn't happen tonight.
Yeah.
And yet 3 more minutes are added nonetheless. And it really does extend the life of these games. And timing is an issue. Anybody likes anything that moves pretty quickly. Say like a 4th preseason game in the NFL.
It got done in 2.5 hours last night.
Nobody likes the games, but everybody likes the time element. That's for sure. Speaking of which, big shout out to Tulane University. What a performance by the Green Wave against Florida International last night. I was sharing with you prior to the game. I read every analysis imaginable, and I'm not a betting guy. It's just not what I do, and I don't fault those that do. It's all power to you. Good deal. But I was reading 3 different betting analysis heading into that game where FIU was the pick because everybody saw them as having the more experience, a quarterback that had an offense that averaged 35 points a year before, a coach in Butch Davis. It's been there, done that. Well, as I wrote at Crescent City Sports this morning, the best coach was on the Tulane sideline, Willie Fritz.
Maybe the best 2 coaches.
The best quarterback.
Will Hall.
Will Hall called a great game.
Yes, he did. And that's the one thing you didn't know exactly what you were going to see there, and I think you saw a little bit of it. Look, can Tulane go to Auburn next Saturday night and win? Not sure that that's the case, but I think that will be maybe closer than some of the pundits want to suggest.
Right. And I'm interested to see Auburn, Oregon, to see just how Auburn looks against Oregon, a really good football team with an NFL first-round pick at quarterback. I think that will tell us a lot about what to anticipate and expect there. Of course, high anticipation for LSU as well. Georgia Southern, there's no pushover. And everybody's eagerly anticipating seeing this quote-unquote new-look LSU offense. Talking about Will Hall, and then you got Joe Brady at LSU, and everybody's talking about him and what he's done and the difference he is going to make. And by the way, a big shout-out to Frank Selfo in southeastern Louisiana. They beat a ranked team in the FCS level. Great job defeating Jacksonville State in convincing fashion last night. Kind of flew below radar with the NFL preseason game and the big Tulane win, but a huge win for the Lions, who are vastly improved.
No doubt about it. I had a chance to visit with Tom Burnett, the Southland Conference Commissioner, this morning, and talking about that game. They had a couple of big wins in that league last night, with Southeastern beating Jacksonville State, Central Arkansas going on the road and winning at Western Kentucky. So a good start for the Southland last night. It's always a good league. Nichols, of course, is the preseason favorite in that league.
The dynamic here is interesting because Rummel hasn't warmed up in at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They've just been standing over there. St. Paul's was warming up and they take the sideline. So, I mean, there's a little bit to figure out with that as well about how you adjust and prepare. And you don't need a lot of work, mind you, but you do want to get a little bit loose in the process. Crescent City Sports Prep Football is brought to you by Riverlands Insurance in Luling, meeting all your insurance needs. Call Riverlands at 1-800-336-4579 or go to Rivens.com. That's RIVINS.com. Our thanks to Nolan Luke and Riverlands Insurance for their continued support of what we do. We appreciate them.
They're not going to be in Luling for long, getting ready to move those offices over to St. Rose.
St. Paul's will kick off to start the second half. Remember, Rummel elected to play on defense initially to start the game after winning the toss. And the Raiders will drop twin receivers deep. Donovan Kaufman, will be one. And Coy Moore is going to be the other. That's 2 dynamic return men for Rummel. So this is where you'd like to have that weapon to put the ball in the end zone. If you're St. Paul's, Parker Pearson will kick off. St. Paul's has 3 different guys that handle kicking duties. One that handles field goals, extra points, one that kicks off, and one that punts. Whereas Rummel has one do everything. So here's Pearson. Takes a 10-yard approach to the football. And here's the kickoff, and it sails high. Deep but returnable from the 1. Kaufman across the field. 5, 10, inside 15, 20, and out to about the 23 goes Donovan Kaufman. Rummel will start its first possession of the second half from its 23-yard line, trying to get some semblance of consistency going on offense. Unable to do so in the first half outside of a couple of big plays. Higgins wins in Jamboree action, 35-2 over Abramson Psi Academy. Good start for Higgins.
Need a program to keep up with some of the name changes of the schools this year. What was Cy Academy is now once again known as Abramson.
Tight end tucked in right, twins left, first down run Sturgis. Sturgis running left, short gain across the 25, out to the 27. He's always going to fall forward and get you something. He's got maybe 3 on the play.
Stay on schedule.
Actually 4 yards to the 27, 2nd and 6. His third carry for 16 yards in the game. Mark it at the 26, so it's 2nd and 7. Wickersham stepping up. He's going to be hit and sacked again. Just no chance. He just doesn't have any time to get anything done. He can't even set and look for a receiver, unfortunately. And he's sacked. A great rush again for St. Paul's. Jacob Froelich is there to get the sack.
Right, he finished it off. Michael Crockett, I think that was off the edge there, Ken. It tripped him up in the backfield, and he tried to get away and ended up going down.
Second sack for St. Paul's, and Wickersham just under all kinds of pressure. It's 3rd down and along 9 from the 24. Wickersham steps up, buys time, throws, intercepted, I believe. It is intercepted. Great play. There is a flag down. The interception is by 31 Rhett Barker. But now we'll check the flag. So Barker comes up with the interception. And now we'll get the discussion. The post-possession or pre-possession there in terms of the interception. Looks like it's going to be St. Paul's ball. Get the signal here. Personal foul, St. Paul's. Will cost them 15 yards, but Rhett Barker's interception will stand. Second penalty, 20 yards against the Wolves, but the second turnover for Rummel, both interceptions. St. Paul's will be in good shape here. Despite the penalty, they'll be in Rummel territory at the 49-yard line. So good start for the St. Paul's offense. They really need a shorter field to work with, and they've got one here on the plus side of the field. Bilson will lead his offense onto the field. I formation behind him, wide side, left side. On first down, straight run inside. Oh, he's belted down. I mean, nailed for a yard loss. Quentin Cage was there. Cage just drilled Carter Ely for a loss of 1.
Just came off the edge and met him in the backfield.
So loss of 1 for Ely. 2nd and 11 in midfield. That's why Quentin Cage has been offered by Tulane. Can just fly to the football, Lenny. Just runs very well. And he will hit you, as you just saw. Wilson off the play fake. Throws, it's tipped in the air, and it's intercepted. 45-40, Thomas 30, 25-20, 15-10, 5. Touchdown, Aaron Thomas. No flags on the play. Aaron Thomas takes it back the distance, unofficially 47 yards, and a touchdown Rummel. Now a flag is down on the play, so it might come back after all. Probably post-possession again. So a great play by Thomas off the tip ball. Now the discussion, the flag's laying at the 26, so probably Rummel ball marked off from there. And it's a block in the back. He points against St. Paul's, but it's on Rummel. Clearly. That'll be the 6th penalty against Rummel and 57 yards against the Raiders, and it negates a touchdown. Rummel will still have it on the plus side of the field, but again, both offenses just having a rough time. But again, a short field here at the St. Paul's 35 with 12:56 to play in this Christian Brothers Jamboree. 7-0 Raiders on top. Wickersham is just looking for a little bit of time, and that did not look good at all. Everybody moving. Another false start against Rummel. That'll be 7 penalties. I guess this is what Jamborees are for, if you want to look at it positively, right?
All the kinks worked out now.
when you're struggling to protect and block, sometimes you get antsy, and I think that's kind of what you're looking at there. Again, they are missing a key player left tackle for sure. 1st and 15 at the 40. Quick snap, fake to Sturgis. Pressure all over, but Moore caught the pass, got a block, nice cut. 30 and down to about the 26. They just want to get him the ball. It's that simple. Yeah. And when they do, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, a little bit of a tunnel screen action there. It didn't come all the way back to the middle. Stayed out on the sideline, but still, a lot of other guys might have gotten 3 or 4 out of that. And Coy Moore found a way to make it into 14 yards, and it's 2nd and 1.
And that's really what Rummel has to do is throw the quick pass because they clearly have issues trying to protect Wickersham in the straight drop back situation. 2nd and 1, as Lenny mentioned. Snap it, give it to Sturgis. Sturgis will get the first down as he crosses the 25 to the 24. So Sturgis able to get 2 and a first down. Rummel at the St. Paul's 24. A rare first down. We haven't seen many of those. So the Raiders overcome the penalty and get the first down here. Move the chains to the 24. Tight end right side. Twin receivers left. Cameron Francione in the game. Split wide left now. Remember, Ray Shaw got hurt earlier. Counterplay Sturgis. He's got room at the 20. Sturgis fumbles the football, and it's caught in midair. Ball pops straight up in the air, and it's caught in midair by Francione, who I just mentioned. Cameron Francione, man on the spot. He just caught it in midair. That is a heads-up play. A very good run. Ends up being all the way down to the 8-yard line in a 1st and goal situation. Make it the 7-yard line, so it's a 17-yard net gain.
Yeah, and if you're scoring at home. At Sturgis gets it to the point of the fumble, and then Francione gets the rushing yards for the rest of the play.
So we'll give 12 yards to Sturgis, and 5 yards after that. Fullback gets the carry. Bounced off a tackle, and he'll score. Touchdown, Logan Bertucci. So Bertucci scores from 7 yards out, and Rummel has a 13-0 lead. Well, the fullback's going to get a few carries, especially with Diggs being hurt. And remember, Kyle Walker, who was so good a year ago, has quit football to concentrate on baseball, so not as much depth back there at the running back position for the Raiders. Good run by Bertucci gives Rummel a 13-0 lead here. So I'm going to get you to explain that in a minute to the people listening. Hold on to that thought about the run that just took place. Vanderbrook for the extra point. Snap good, spot good, kick is up, and it is good. So, with 11:25 to play, it's now Rummel 14, St. Paul nothing. All right, so we talk about baseball scoring all the time. Mm-hmm. All right, so a 12-yard run credited to Sturgis.
Right.
And then you get 5 more yards on a play. Explain to people what happens there.
So what's going to happen is when you see some things like this show up in the stats sometimes, Francione gets 5 yards rushing, but no carry.
Right.
So he has, at this point, unless he suddenly carries the ball, his stats would show no carries for 5 yards.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, but I get it.
You know where you see that happen a lot of times, and obviously that's a very unusual play.
Right.
Now, where you can see that is, they've changed rules on that, like with an option play where the quarterback went beyond the line of scrimmage. They used to make you score it that way. Now you give it all to the running back on a pitch play, even if the quarterback's beyond the line of scrimmage. Where you see that a lot is on block punts. The guy who blocks the punt gets the yards from the line of scrimmage until the ball is picked up. And the returner gets the yards the rest of the way. The NFL,
to kick it off?
At least in high school and college. The pro rules can be different in that situation. So, of course, the most famous block punt we all know here, if it had been in a college game, Steve Gleason would have gotten all of the yards of the return up to the goal line, and then the rest of it would have gone. Now I'm blanking out here. To Curtis DeLoach. Okay, I'm forgetting names here. We all remember Gleason. We forget DeLoach, right?
Curtis was just as significant. Recovered it for the score. Another touchback for Vanderbrook, 3 for 3. Boy, what a weapon that is again.
Both directions. Not much of a win. The flag off to our right is not even budging at this point.
St. Paul will start at its 20-yard line, and They need a big play, Lenny. I mean, they just haven't been able to sustain anything against this Rummel defense, so it's really going to take, you would think, a big play to really get something going here.
Yeah, and you talked about some of the things they need to do. Maybe a screen, maybe a misdirection, whatever it is with Rummel getting penetration.
There's a misdirection left, but look at the team speed. Look at the white shirts running the ball. That looked like there was something there.
Right.
And by the time it's done, he's got 2 yards and there's 5 white shirts on top of Mitchell Smith.
Yeah.
That's the definition of flying in the football. You try to run away from them. A defense like this, they're going to catch you most of the time.
Right. You really got to, that was part of that is being able to sell it, whether it's what you're doing with your offensive line action, whether it's that running back really planting that foot in the ground before he takes off the other way. You've got to sell that misdirection.
Smith running right. He's got no chance. He is ripped down by Jordan Williams, who's all over him. Williams just tremendous penetration. The South Alabama commit takes down Smith. Yeah, no chance. Down at the 21, another loss of 1 yard. So it's 3rd and 9 after the loss of 1. 10:23 and counting to play in this one. 14-0 Raiders on top. Passing situation here. Let's see what Rummel does. 3-man front. See if they rush 3 or 4 here. Bring someone off the edge. Bring in a linebacker. They rush 4. Bilson throws incomplete. In the seam. Wouldn't have been a first down anyway, as the pass was intended for the tight end, 89, Daniel Zuckerman, but it's low and outside, as we say in baseball. But this is football. And a punting situation. Wilson now 2 of 6 for just 6 yards. And Coy Moore will drop deep again for Rummel.
Not very deep here. Let's see if he backs up. He's only now they're moving back from the sideline. He was only about 22 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Now they've got him back at about 30 yards.
Justin
31.
Bayham to punt it. Bayham stands at his 7. And it is Moore at about his 48. Rummel playing it safe here. Return is on. And right at him. And Moore signaled for a fair catch. Just playing it safe there because that kick was a little bit low. But he caught it and gives Rummel great field position with 9:55 to play. 9:55. And Rummel starts at its 47 with a 14-point lead. And this is where Rummel Raider football at this point with the lead in the second half, where they just try to line up and pound you into submission. Are they capable of doing that? They have the running back, certainly, and when they have Diggs healthy, they have 2 of them. But do they have the ability to do it against a good defensive front? Sturgis does have 5 carries for 30 yards, so he has been effective when he has run the ball. Did have the fumble on the last time he carried it. But again, Francione right on the spot. Made a nice play. Saved the possession and got him a score. Quick flip outside. Moore, he's being pursued big time. Moore's reversing field. Look out here. Moore with speed. Now he wants to cut back again. He's cutting all over the place. That's about the longest 3-yard run you'll see, maybe 4 yards. Coy Moore.
he might have run 100 to get to 4 right there.
Well, he wanted to do something with that play. Always looking for the home run. He did get him 4 yards, but it sure was a lot of fun to watch.
You could do that and get away with it against certain teams. I think there are other teams that you probably do not want to do that against, because that could potentially turn into a massive loss.
2nd and 6 of the 49. Sturgis to carry. Sturgis pounds it in there. Look at him drag the plow. He's still going. Sturgis powers his way to the St. Paul's 39. That's what Jalen Sturgis can do. The definition of moving a pile.
Yeah, keeps those legs moving. You talked about how he will fall forward, and he is a load to bring down. He's, they've got him listed at 5'9", 231 pounds, and he's every bit of that.
10-yard gain and a first down at the St. Paul's 39. That's exactly what I was talking about. That's what Rummel traditionally has loved to do, and they get on top of you. They like to just run it right at you. 1st and 10 at the 39. Snap it, fake it, throw it, slant. What a catch by Moore. I mean, you talk about a big-time catch. Hands fully extended. Catch radius huge. Defender's right there. Double team, and he makes the catch and has another first down.
Yeah, they had him bracketed, the quick slant, and he went up and got it at its highest point.
That's one that shows you more than anything else why he is who he is and why he's so highly thought of. It's pretty impressive, Lenny.
No question about it.
14 yards and a first down, 4 catches and 64 yards for Moore. Sturgis broke one tackle, pounds it forward to about the 17-yard line. He's got 8 more. Rummel looking very impressive now, Lenny.
Yeah, they've got, at this point, now obviously when you get Diggs back, it's a different situation, but the 2 guys you want to get the ball in the hands of are number 2 and number 7, and they're doing a good job of that here on this possession.
2nd and 2 at the 17-yard line as we tick down the 7:40 to play in this one. Quick snap. Run inside with the fullback Bertuzzi. He's hit right away and stood up. Nowhere to go. He has no gain. And Bertuzzi's going to have to get some carries. I think we'll have the hydration break here as Bertuzzi stopped for no gain. It'll be 3rd and 2 at the 17. So we'll take a timeout here. Back in just a moment with more from Covington at CrescentCitySports.com.
Stand by.
The best back's hurt right now. Best back is Diggs by far, but he's hurt right now. He's real good. Now he's got offers. Junior.
Stand by.
Wow. I want to consider running a wishbone.
Ken Trahan, Lenny Vangilder from Hunter Stadium in Covington. 14-0 Rummel over St. Paul's. Crescent City Sports Prep Football is presented by Ye Old College Inn and Rock and Bowl. College Inn, a true New Orleans farm-to-table restaurant open Tuesday through Saturday for dinner and the home of the New Orleans Prep Sports Hall of Fame. That's Ye Old College Inn since 1933. Thanks to John Blanchard and his fine operation. 3rd and 2, Bertuzzi the carry. Bertuzzi trudges forward right near the marker. He needed to, and he's right at the 15. That's where he needed to get, depends on the spot. I would take a hedge and say he's got it. And they have single first down. So 2 yards and a first down to the 15.
We got an injured Rummel player back at the 20-yard line.
This has been a costly jamboree for Rummel. They've lost Rachel already.
Looks like it might be George Lafargue, 75.
And he is one of their 2 really good offensive linemen. And it's just not a place where they have much depth at all. So a real concern with George Lafargue being down. Again, already without Diggs, they lost Rachel. They're without Basham, and now another offensive lineman down. And nothing is good, but you never like to see lower extremity, which appeared to be the case with Rachel earlier.
You hope for the best in these situations.
Lafargue, the right guard, at 6 foot 296, a senior, and a guy they're really counting on. And again, they're going to play a national power in Central.
Or Charlotte Catholic.
Charlotte Catholic, I want to say Central Catholic. Charlotte Catholic next week in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they need all hands on deck. Lafargue rises, but he's limping pretty badly.
But he's walking off on his own. He can put weight on it, but he's a little gimpy. You hope he's okay. As he walks off, I know you mentioned College Inn, of course, Rock and Bowl now with 2 locations on South Carrollton and New Orleans, Jefferson Street in downtown Lafayette. You see a full schedule of entertainment at rockandbowl.com. And as you mentioned earlier, join us at Rock and Bowl in New Orleans for the Greater New Orleans Quarterback Club Luncheon each Tuesday at noon. Look, this week, don't get those calendars confused. We know Monday's Labor Day. Still Tuesday at noon. Come on out. Great lineup of speakers. You want to check that out.
Raiders have to substitute off front offensively. Sean Vesterling is in. The senior is in at right guard. Wickersham wants to throw. More end zone, and he didn't get it. Nice play defensively to get it out. He had his hands on it, and then he got it dislodged. Really fine play. That was a good play there by Daniel Dufour, who got it out of there. That's just a great defensive play by Dufour.
Yeah, Dufour.
Good throw.
Dufour, just a sophomore, going up against Moore, the senior, the LSU commit.
Excellent play. And I like that Rummel took the shot there, too, with its best player.
You get in the red zone and...
Second down and 10 from the 15. Movement up front. No whistle. Wickersham keeps it in the outside pass. Boy, that's dangerous. Could have been considered a fumble. It's rolling to the sideline. And they're going to say St. Paul's ball. Turnover. Fumble. Sidewards pass, and Rummel has turned it over for the third time. That play did not look good from the start.
Right, that was one of those, like you said, it was kind of off-kilter from the beginning. You thought there was movement up front. That was one of those true RPO kind of plays where it looks like Wickersham's going to keep it, and then he pulls it down and looks to throw it. You're trying to create a possible mismatch and maybe draw somebody off the receiver, and it was just out of sync from the word jump.
Trying to stretch the defense when you do that, but the defender stayed home, and you've also got to get a block on the outside corner. Didn't happen. Throw was a little bit to the backside, but catchable. But again, it was a lateral, so a fumble, and St. Paul's has it at their own 17-yard line. Snap it, fake it. Oh, look at this, batted down and incomplete. That's Jordan Williams, just ate that pass up from Caleb Frost, who's in a quarterback now. So Frost, who played quarterback last year, has moved to quarterback now, getting an opportunity to try to spark this team. But Jordan Williams was all over that and batted it right back at him. 2nd and 10. So Caleb Frost in at quarterback, and last year completed 34 of 56 passes for 345 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and rushed 20 times for 86 yards, playing some while Jack Mashburn was the starter. 2nd and 10 at the 17. Frost has Smith in the backfield with him. Straight run to the left, got a block to the corner. He's got something, 20, knife down at about the 23 or 4-yard line. So got that initial block, and that got him forward for a nice gain of about 6 or 7. And of course, Frost, more of a runner too.
That's one thing that's hard to account for as you start figuring out numbers out there. When you've got a quarterback who's a runner, that's something you've got to make an adjustment to as a defense right there. And let's see on 3rd and short what Rummel does here.
6 yards to the 23. It's 3rd and 4 for St. Paul's. Nilsson fakes it, throws it, tight end caught it. Zuckerman, first down. Across the 30 and out to the 33. Frost, a good, quick pop throw to Zuckerman for a first down, St. Paul's. Nicely executed, but there is a flag. And this might be coming back. Officials talk it over. Flag thrown back at about the 23.
I wonder if this was an eligible man downfield. Perhaps
behind the line
receiver
of scrimmage
was covered.
Now we'll see. Still waiting to get the official signal, but St. Paul's is going backwards, so that's not good for the Wolves. Yep, that's what it was, an eligible receiver downfield. Going to cost the Wolves dearly, back to the 18, cost them a first down play and a 5-yard penalty. So 3rd penalty, 25 yards on St. Paul's. Puts them at the 18, where it's 3rd down and 10. And now the whistles blow.
Yeah, it was third and 4.
With 6:17 to play. Now we should be 3rd and 9 here. It was 3rd and 4 previously at the 23. So
like everything's in the right place.
Somehow the down marker, I think the down marker might have moved slightly, but they fixed it now. Down marker's correct, and it's 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9 of the 18. Blitz on, Frost engulfed. He's got no chance. Donovan Kaufman has him wrapped up along with Kibos Craig. Another sack for the Raiders. They're fourth, and this defense is something to watch.
That was like a chess match right there. You know, if you try to make a move and you might move and it becomes checkmate, you got to move somewhere else. If he'd have stepped up in the pocket instead of back, he would have stepped right into Jordan Williams, who had just bulldozed his man and was in position to make a sack as well. So there were really 3 Rummel defenders in great position in the backfield there.
Well, St. Paul's faced John Curtis in a scrimmage. Now they're facing Rummel in a jamboree. I'm not sure they're going to face 2 better defenses all year long. In fact, I doubt they will. Punt formation here. Dustin Bayham, more to receive it. Calls for a fair catch on the run. Dangerous play, but he caught it at about the 47. But Rummel again will have it on the plus side of the field with 5:19 to play. I mean, when your team is penalized 7 times for 62 yards and has 3 turnovers, and you're pitching a shutout, winning by 14, that just tells you how good this Rummel defense has been.
It's been outstanding, and really getting some things done. Pressure in the backfield with that. That's now 4 sacks tonight. Is that correct?
Yep, 4 sacks.
And other times with pressure as well. So really creating havoc at the line of scrimmage.
Wickersham wants to throw off a quick snap in traffic, caught by Moore. And he broke a tackle and gets forward for right near the first down. I mean, he's double covered. That throw had to be right there, and it was. Gain of 9. It's 2nd and 1. Wickersham over 100 yards passing. And Moore 5 catches for 73 yards. 2nd and 1 at the 38. Almost lost its right guard and its number 2 receiver to injury in this game. And now the whistle sound again. Rummel wants a timeout. So they take timeout with 4:35 left to play. 14-0 Raiders on top here in Covington. Both sides head to their respective sides. Again, Wickersham, 6 of 10, 102 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. 5 of those completions to Moore for 73 yards. The other to Ivory Wright, the 4th, for 29 yards and a touchdown. Sturgis, 7 carries, 48 yards. So you've had the effective runner, the brilliant receiver, and when given time, an effective quarterback, but that's the issue. St. Paul's with 2 sacks, but they've had just countless pressures on Wickersham throughout, one of which created an interception out of what could have been a touchdown.
Very well could have been. If it's any other point in the field, it might have well been. And even with that, they almost returned it 100 yards.
Again, St. Paul's doubling Moore every chance they can here. 2nd and 1. Bertucci hitting the backfield for a loss. They were all over it. Defensive penetration superb. Outstanding play by 94 Michael Crockett to get Bertucci down on the ground at the 41, a loss of 3.
Getting back to what you were saying about Moore, we saw Rummel line Moore up in the backfield some last year just to try to, 1, provide a changeup, but 2, maybe help take away from some of that bracketed or double coverage in his direction. And I would imagine as this season goes on, we may see even more of that.
Nick Perkins in up front for Rummel as well. 3rd and 4. Wickersham, pressure, throws into traffic and caught right on the money. First down. Boy, that had to be right there, and it was. And it's caught by Robertson for a first down. Keith Robertson on the catch to about the 34, a gain of 7. First down, Rummel. So Robertson with his first catch of the game for 7 yards. Raiders were down there last time and turned it over. They're in St. Paul's territory again. 3:28 and counting to play in this one. Trips at right. Run Bertucci, hit for a loss. Just again, tremendous penetration defensively.
Crockett again.
Nobody able to block Crockett. He just goes right by his man and makes a tackle for a loss. Crockett, a brilliant player.
Crockett's been the best player on the field tonight for St. Paul's.
No question. And his brother has the interception. She almost took it back the distance. Sturgis has not been in on this series, Lenny. I didn't see anything happen to him. I don't know if there's anything wrong with him. But he's not in. Bertuzzi finds a hole, 30. Hard run to the 25 by Logan. Well, he got 11 yards on a good hard run there. And that time he had some running room.
You have to wonder as well, Ken, if this is a chance to try to take a look at some different personnel, see what you have out there, and try to rotate some people through.
Well, Bertuzzi is their fullback, and he really didn't carry the ball last year. He's just a blocker. But it's different this year without Kyle Walker. And, of course, Logan Diggs hurt right now. 3rd and 1, Wickersham under center. Quick sneak, and he appears to should have it where he's at. Well, I don't know. The spot is going to be right on it. He looked like he got it from our vantage point, but the spot is going to be right on it.
You talk about the quickness of Crockett. He was behind Wickersham. He got back there so quickly, coming off the edge, and he got behind Wickersham and was trying to pull him back, but to no avail because it is a first down.
A yard run and a first down for Kyle Wickersham to the 24.
Clock down under 2 minutes now. Maybe just one more first down, and this may do it, or maybe not even that. Well, now with the 40-second clock in play, you do clearly have a better idea of what you need to do to run out the clock.
Right, Rummel doesn't need to score. Run it. Bertuzzi broke a tackle. Good hard run again inside the 20, down to the 18. He's showing the ability to run the football.
No doubt. And this is clearly a Rummel offense that is starting to, shall we say, exert its will or wear down this St. Paul's defense.
That defense has been on the field too long.
They have been out there a lot. Now, granted, this is a jamboree. You're not playing a full 48 minutes, just 30 minutes tonight. But still, the St. Paul's offense has not been on the field for a tremendous amount of plays.
After the first possession, St. Paul's controlled the ball. Penalty's a big factor. Rummel's had it most of the way. This time Bertuzzi in the backfield, but he shook the tackle and manages to get forward. Blow the whistle. There it is finally. As he pushed the pile for 2 yards to the 16. It'll be 3rd and 2, but the clock is under a minute left. Timeout Wolves with 55.7 seconds left.
Running again. It just stopped there for a split second.
Thought they called timeout, but they did not. St. Paul's content to let it run out too. Rummel's going to win this one. It's a matter of just running out the clock now. They don't need to score again, as mentioned. Up 14-0 here.
3rd down. They can probably just take a knee if they want. Might even take the delay of game penalty here. Or snap it right as close to 0 as you can.
Just run it, hit for a loss. Doesn't make any difference. Should be the last play. So Bertuzzi hit in the backfield. And this one is going to come to an end as the Archbishop Rummel Raiders have won the Christian Brothers Jamboree here this evening by a 14-0 margin over St. Paul's. Just brilliant defense. I mean brilliant defense by Rummel. It doesn't get any better than what you saw here this evening. Very good defense by St. Paul's as well. They'll walk away knowing that they really did a good job on defense against a good team. Rummel, the issue right now certainly is injuries, getting people healthy enough on offense. Some critical guys down right now, but the Raiders win at 14-0. Lenny,
well, I thought, obviously you talk about the injuries and that is a concern, but I think both of these teams have things that their head coaches can take back to their players and say there are things that we've got to get cleaned up before the regular season begins a week from tonight. Obviously, Rummel, turnovers, penalties. St. Paul's just better execution overall on the offensive end.
We'll take a look at some of the final numbers quickly. Kyle Wickersham, 7 of 11, 109 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Coy Moore, 5 catches, 73 yards. Ivory Wright, a catch for 29 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Sturgis, 7 carries for 48 yards. Logan Bertuzzi finished with 8 carries for 20 yards. For St. Paul's, Carter Ely had 6 carries for 13 yards. Grant Bilson, 2 of 6 for 6 yards. And again, you can do the math. It just wasn't much to talk about on offense for St. Paul's. In fact, I think they had negative yardage overall. I'm doing my math right now. I'm trying to compute that. Looking at it. I'm not as fast as I used to be, Lenny. So let's see here. That's 12. That's 6 minus 10. minus 4 yards for St. Paul.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's not going to be something that they're going to be happy with, but they will be happy with their defensive performance, to be sure.
Yeah, no reason to complain with anything they've done on defense here this evening. Obviously, this is like you say, this is a Rummel team that is outstanding on defense itself, and has some really talented players on offense. And both teams will come together at the center of the field for a prayer as Christian Brothers School.
Coaches will talk to the opposing team, and then they'll pray together and be together as one and intermingle as one. That's a Christian Brothers tradition, and that's a really good thing to see. Thoroughly enjoy this aspect of the game. So you heard the numbers, and again, for Rummel, the defense just out of sight here tonight as they win at 14-0. Final thought, Lenny?
Just, I think both of these teams, like you say, have something to be able to get ready for week one on. If you're St. Paul's, you brought it up. They've probably faced the two best defenses they're going to see the entire season here in a scrimmage and a jamboree, and it's helped get them ready for the regular season. For Rummel, a very big test coming up on the road in Charlotte week one.
No doubt. Well, it's been a pleasure bringing this one to you, the first of so many that we will bring to you this year via CrescentCitySports.com. And again, we hope you're with us throughout the course of the season, including for our next game, which is next Thursday night, the premiere of Crescent City Sports Prep Football schedule on CST as the Warren Easton Eagles meet the De La Salle Cavaliers. Catch the game on CST on CrescentCitySports.com or through the LHSAA app. Want to thank Adam Bandera for a job well done tonight. Great to have Adam with us again, and always a pleasure to be with Lenny, and a pleasure to have you watching CrescentCitySports.com, where we encourage you to go every single day for all the news you want in all of sports throughout New Orleans and Louisiana. That's CrescentCitySports.com. Our final again, Rummel 14, St. Paul's nothing. Now this is Ken Trahan from Hunter Stadium in Covington saying thank you for joining us and be a good sport. God bless you one and all. We are rounding third and heading home. So long.